everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Dr. Brianna Whiteside, and I create faith, fashion, lifestyle, and financial content. So if you're here, that must mean that you like one or more of those topics. Before I get started, I want to go ahead and encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also check out my products and services over on briannawhiteside.com. In today's video, I want to talk to you about what you have to show for your life. I know so many times we go through life, we go with the flow haphazardly, and at the end of the day, sometimes a lot of people end up not having anything to show for it. And so I want you to go ahead and start taking inventory of your life so that you will have a return on investment, or so that God will have a return on the gift of the investment He put inside of you. First, let's start with how old you are. I'll start with myself. I am 32 at the moment of recording this video, and so I often ask myself, Brianna, what do you have to show for the 32 years of your life? Y'all, honestly, that is a hard question for a lot of people to answer. I also pose that question to a lot of my friends and family, not as a way to make them feel bad about themselves, but as a way to make them to look at their lives more seriously, or take control over their lives more seriously. And I've also found this especially in poverty-stricken areas from which I come from. We're not really trained to think or take inventory of the things we have, because we're always trying to get right. We're in this striving mode. We're trying to survive. Who you became to survive is not who you're going to need to be to thrive. And so you're going to have to change that outlook. And it first takes place by you taking inventory of what you have in your life. What have you accomplished? What have you not accomplished? And also those feelings about accomplishment, right? Do you feel that you should be further in life? Do you feel that you have, maybe squandered your youth? Right? Like, what do you feel about your age? I am entering into my Jesus year, which is 33 in a few months. And I always tell people, like, I am so excited to enter into my Jesus year, because I've done so much with my life already that I know that 33 is I'm just going to be greater. Right? And so as a result of me consistently taking inventory of my life and consistently, having these updates and checking in with myself, I'm able to measure where I am, where I've come from, and the progress that I also need to make. So the first thing I want you to consider is think about what you've done with your time. What have you done with your time, or what do you do with your time? Did you invest the years in going to school? I remember when I was getting my PhD, I had to go to school 10 years post high school. So I graduated high school at 18. I got my PhD at 28. That was 10 years of an investment. And a lot of people was like, no, I don't think I had 10 years. And I always tell people the time was going to pass regardless. My investment in my 10 years may look different than someone else's investment in their 10 years. And that's on you. You have the right and the prerogative to choose if you want to invest in school, if you want to invest your 10 years in watching TV, if you want to invest your 10 years in scrolling social media, if you want to invest your 10 years in honing your craft, all of these things. And I think, if off the top of my head, because it's just coming to me, and I think that is the 10,000 hour rule. Let me double check. The rule that I'm referring to is the 10,000 hour rule in Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, the story of success. And so he talks about the 10,000 hour rule to become an expert in your field. And according to this short snippet that I'm trying to scan right now, that's 417 days worth of hours, or 3 hours a day for 3,333 days, which is a little over 9 years. So just short of 10 years to become an expert in something. I was pretty much on par with the 10-year span and the 10,000 hour rule. And so I want to ask you, what did you do with your 10 years or the last 30 years to 20 years of your life? Did you party? Did you just hang out? Did you just go with the flow? Which is why I'm not a woman of going with the flow. I need to know where we're going, where the flow is going. Anyway, what did you do with your time? Because time is the only equal opportunity employer, right? Time is the only thing we all have the same amount of, 24 hours in a day. Right? As you take inventory of what you did with your time, I want you to compare that with what you have now to show for it. What do you have to show for it? And how do you feel about what you have to show for it? because your feelings matter. If you don't feel good about what you have to show for it, sometimes, and it's this weird thing that our brain does, you will say, I'm not happy about this, and you'll try to come up with your plan, and then your brain will say, it's gonna be too hard, don't do it. You know, have you ever seen the Kermit the Frog meme? And you have the Kermit without the hood, like, I'm gonna go change my life, and then maybe the Kermit with the hood on is like, it's gonna be too hard, don't do it. That's really what your brain is saying. Your brain is trying to psych you out, but you have to go against it in this time, right? Because your brain, your thinking, has gotten you either into something or gotten you out of something, right? It has either convinced you to invest the last few years of your life into something productive or to mindlessly spend the time. This is not what we want to do. We want to stop that immediately. So as I said, I invested 10 years of my life post high school. Those were very difficult years for me. There was also maturation years for me. I did 4 years undergrad, 2 years master's, 4 years PhD. I had no life. I had no money. I was just disgusted, okay? I was upset. And my friends at the time, or the friends who did not continue on in higher education, they had more than me at the time, right? They were enjoying their lives. They were, you know, making what, $30,000-$40,000 a year, which seemed like a lot to someone who was just out of high school, right? I wasn't making half of that. In fact, I think in my bachelor's, I was working 2 jobs. I ain't had no life. My master's, I was probably making, I wasn't making a lot, y'all. Probably $20,000 a year. And then my PhD, we don't even want to talk about how much I was making because it wasn't nothing. I was below the poverty line for several years. Anyway, the time was gonna pass. I was like, you're gonna have to suffer through this thing. It's almost, you know, you're almost at the end. Stick to it. You wanted to do this thing. Remember your why. And I'm gonna be honest and say I'm really happy with my investment. I do not have some of the stresses that a lot of people have. I do not have some of the hangups that a lot of people have, because how many of you know that you discipline yourself for that long, that discipline is going to transfer into every area of your life if you're intentional, right? And so if nothing else, going to graduate school taught me to be disciplined and to be committed to the end of a thing. The cool thing about you is that if you're not happy with where you are now, you have the power to change it. No one is holding you back. No one has a gun to your head saying you cannot progress any further. And I know about the socioeconomic issues that we're having in the world. I know about the looming recession. I know about all these things. But the great thing is that God gave you the power to create wealth. He gave you the power to think your way out of any situation, and he gave you the power to break boundaries if you so choose to, right? And so if you decide to play at the status quo or let the status quo be your bar, that's where you're gonna live, at that bar or beneath it. But if you decide, no, I want something more and I'm going to spend time thinking about how I can get out of it, that's what you'll have. You will have what you say, and ultimately what you say is a result of what you have thought about. All right, so let's say that you are someone who's like, oh, this is great, Brianna, but I don't know where to start. I got you covered. I came prepared to help you out of your rut. Or if you're not in a rut, I came to help you progress further. All right, so don't know where to start. Here's where you start. I want you to list all the reasons why you aren't where you want to be. Now, let me be clear. Though my life is amazing right now, I am still not where I want to be. And there are some real reasons as to why. One of the main reasons is myself. What I believed about myself for so long has prevented me from being where I feel that I need to be, okay? And so as a result, I had to sit down with myself and do this very exercise that I'm encouraging you to do. List all the reasons why you aren't where you want to be, right? And that could be anything that comes to mind. Just, I want you to free write list them, whether you feel like, you know, it's the government's fault, whether you feel like it's your fault, whether it was poverty, whether all the things, whatever's in your mind, whatever comes to mind, I want you to go ahead and list it out. Nothing is wrong here, okay? So take some time to list that out. After you have listed out all of the things, I want you to cross out all the items that have to do with other people. Whether you put your mama didn't care about you, your daddy didn't love you, you know, all of those things do matter. Your sister stole your boyfriend at 5, you know, the teacher skipped over you for the award when you was in 10th grade, all those things. Anything that has to do with another person, I want you to go ahead and cross it out. Cross it on out, take some time. I know it's tough, but cross it on out. The reason why I'm having you cross out all the things that have to do with other people is because until you get to the root cause or the root reason as to why you're not where you really want to be, you're never going to be able to go where you want to be. Okay? So while all of those other reasons that have to do with other people may be good facts, the truth of the matter is that you're not where you want to be because of you. Because there is something within you that told you that you could not do this thing. I can't tell you how many times people have spoken against me and told me I couldn't do something or I shouldn't do something. And that's really them saying that they can't do this thing, that they shouldn't do this thing, that they wouldn't do this thing, but you're not me. And it took me a lot of time in therapy, right, to start to unlearn all of these habits that I had picked up in order to save myself. And so I want you to get to the point where, you realize that, honestly, I'm really where I am right now in life because of what I believed about myself or did not believe about myself. I'm not saying that all the other reasons are not facts. I'm saying that there's a difference between a fact and a truth, right? And you have the power to decide whether you're gonna make it out or not. You have the power to decide whether you're gonna change the next 10 years of your life or you're gonna continue to let other factors steal from you what you really want. Only you can decide that for yourself. And I'm not telling you that you're not working hard, and I'm not telling you that you have not suffered, because we all have suffered, and I understand that, but I am saying that you also have the power. Two things can be true at once. You also have the power to change it. You have the power to be the hero in your own story. You don't need another hero. You are the hero in your own story, so don't continue to be the victim, all right? So after you create that list and then cross out all the things that has to do with other people, the next thing I want you to do is to create a different list with where you want to be in 5 or 10 years. You can do 10 years if you think more long term, or you can do 5 years, or you can do next year. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? And so I want you to dream a little bit. You're going to have to dream your way to your future and also then work backwards, okay? So you are creating a list about where you want to be in 5, 10, or even next year. And I want you also in that very list to list all the reasons why you want the things on this new list. Why do you want to be successful, and what does that look like? Why do you want to have $10,000 in the bank? Why do you want to drive a nice car? Why do you want to be healthy? Why do you want to get your mental health together? Why do you want to go to therapy? Why do you want to be all the things? I need you to really do some self-work here, some introspective work here, because so many times we live our lives external and we don't take inventory of what is internal. The internal matters just as much as the external. And if I can make this statement, I think the internal matters much more because it affects the external, right? And so go ahead and list out all the reasons why you want to achieve the new goals. And nothing's too silly, nothing's too mundane. List them, okay? And then I want you to ask yourself, what will it take for you to get there? What will it take of you to get there? What behaviors do you need to modify? What materials do you need to secure? What research do you need to do? What community do you need to build around these goals? You have to have a strategic plan on how you're going to get to this next goal or this next marker in the 1 year, the 5 year, or the 10 year, right? You have to be strategic here. You have to write out the plan. You cannot get to a place, you cannot feel your way around a place and think you're gonna get there in a straight line. No, because life happens and it throws us curveballs all the time. So I need you to go ahead and identify the things that you might need and be okay with updating the list as life goes on, right, of your needs, because you consistently change. Who I am when I was 18 is distinctively different than who I am as a 32-year-old woman. Who I am as a college professor is distinctively different than who I was as a graduate student, right? So it's okay to update yourself on, you know, your goals, your needs, and all the things like that, but it's going to take you to do the work on the front end. So after you've created both lists, I want you to cross-reference your lists and take note of what you see. What do you see? What do you see? What differences? And they should probably kind of look distinctively different if you did it correctly. But what do you see? What do you notice? Both lists are gonna show you either who you can be or who you can be. Both of them are gonna show you who you can be. Now I want you to decide which list you will follow, and I want you to tear the other list up. So if you choose, I'm going to follow the 1, 5, 10-year goal list, then go ahead and tear up that past list, that present list. But if you choose, I'd rather stay in my comfort zone and choose the past list and continue to complain and, you know, critique the world, go ahead and tear up the future list. The choice is yours, right? What I'm trying to get you to realize is that you get to reclaim your power. You get to reclaim your power, and there's nothing more exciting than doing that. I want to remind you that you have the power to change your future. You have the power to be unstoppable. You don't have to settle for less. You don't have to play it safe. You don't have to do any of the things. You don't have to play by the systems of the world either if you don't want to. If you feel like they don't apply to you, they don't apply to you. I feel like a lot of things don't apply to me, so I don't subscribe to them. And that's why I live my life the way that I do. Anyway, I hope this helped you. And if you know someone who may be struggling in this area, please don't hesitate to send them this video as well. As I mentioned in the introduction, I am Dr. Brianna Whiteside, and I want to encourage you to take some time to check out my website, briannawhiteside.com, because I have tons of ebooks that will kind of help you navigate through life, and they're from a lot of personal experience and also the experience of others, and I share a lot of wisdom in them. And so if you feel like you need additional support, don't hesitate to go to briannawhiteside.com, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.